everybody. The MCU is back with Captain America Brave New World, and I'm not exactly sure that they've solved the problems that they've been having. Brave New World is a Captain America film with a new Captain America, which everybody knew was coming because Anthony Mackie has already played the part in the television series, the streaming series, and so there's not any surprises there. Uh, Let me start off by saying I think Anthony Mackie's great. He's a very good actor in this role. I think he's well cast. I think that the part is not written as well as it needs to be. It's focusing on some of the things that were very big in the streaming series, but not on the things that made the original Captain America very effective and even the sense kind of patriotic. Even though Anthony Mackie is decorated red, white, and blue, most of his conflict is with the officialdom of the world, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it doesn't ever seem like he's fighting for something, but rather against something. And that seems like it's counterintuitive to what the Captain America character is supposed to be. Thaddeus Ross is replaced by Harrison Ford, who has taken on the role after the late William Hurt has vacated this planet, so to speak, and has moved on to the next dimension. Harrison Ford's a good choice for the part, I think. I would think I would have enjoyed seeing him with the mustache a little bit more, but that's the way of the world. The idea that General Ross, who is Betty Ross's father, and becomes Secretary Ross. He's the Secretary of, I'm not sure if it was Defense or State in the other films. Maybe Secretary of State. I think that was not a bad transition, and now he becomes president. And the way he becomes president is a little vague. It appears that he's supposed to have changed a great deal in the intervening years, or at least he claims to have changed. Brave New World is more a sequel to The Incredible Hulk and the Eternals than it is a follow-up to the things that had happened in the whole Infinity Saga that had preceded this, and even the few other films that have come since the conclusion of the Infinity War and in Endgame. It really seems to be stretching back to some other storylines that are not uninteresting, but they sure seem to be coming out of left field, and that felt a little strange to me. I did appreciate the character of Joaquin, who is kind of like the Captain America. I guess he's Falcon to Captain America. He wants to be anyway, and that's the character that I had the most fun with in the movie. He's the one who seemed to understand the spirit of what these movies ought to be. And there's certainly serious parts, but he never looks like he's so somber that he can't be enjoying the moment. And that's one of the things that I think is the problem with Anthony Mackie as Captain America. He rarely seems like he's enjoying the experience. It feels entirely like a burden to him rather than something that he should be exuberantly embracing. The story gets a little convoluted. It's not quite clear why some of the things happen in the story that do take place. I understand that there were lots of reshoots, and it's pretty clear in a couple of places where they've inserted something. There's a segment with Sebastian Stan and the Winter Soldier that is completely dropped into the movie, and you go, why was that? Because there's going to be a connection to the Winter Soldier in the next MCU film that comes out later this year. So there must be, we got to keep that thread going, I guess. But it's got nothing to do with the story. Even though there's a pretty good speech in that segment, it just feels kind of shoved in. I had the feeling that I was looking at, like one of the early Fantastic Four movies. There's a lot of special effects, but they look a lot more cheesy than I've seen them look in the more recent films. Not quite as crisp. Maybe some of it is because it's set in a ocean location during daytime hours. But the combat sequences, I don't think come across nearly as effectively as they have in other movies. Otherwise, it looks pretty good. Lots of characters. Tim Blake Nelson, who's a character that you will probably have forgotten about for the most part from the Incredible Hulk, turns out to be the main villain in the film. At first it looks like it's going to be Giancarlo Esposito, but it turns out to be Tim Blake Nelson, and that's another one of those things that seems like it comes out of left field. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but there'll be other things that connect this movie to the Incredible Hulk as well. And then I saw the Eternals one time. My memory is that there's an element of that film that pops up in this movie, and as a result, it's an attempt to maybe kind of keep that train of thought going, although I'm not exactly sure that anybody is looking forward to another movie where the issues that the Eternals faced were the thing that we wanted to be dealing with. I think the problem with the film is that it doesn't really know where it wants to go. It knows that it wants to be a big action film. It knows that it wants to take this character that they've created, Captain America, with Anthony Mackie in the role, and use him in some way. But I think they misuse him a little bit, and I think that the plot just gets, like I said, complicated, and it just doesn't look quite as special as it ought to. I assume the comic book fans will be thrilled that we get a Red Hulk. That's not a spoiler because they put it right in the first ads, so from the very beginning you knew that was coming. I won't go any further than that, except to say that the resolution of that feels like they're trying to complete this storyline and this plot line entirely in this movie, and all the things in the background are going to be the things that come up in future films. So it's kind of a standalone, but just not a very interesting one, at least not from my perspective. I didn't hate it, but it is the least of the MCU films I've seen since the Eternals, and it's, in my point of view, maybe slightly above the Eternals, but that's about as far as I could go. If you're an MCU completist, go ahead and see it. If you don't care about these films, you don't need to make any effort to see this movie. All right, that's about it. I'm going to keep it short today. Take care, everybody.